Okay, so these are the ad copy frameworks that we use over here. We got a pattern emerging. Well, it gets kind of tough to see this one. You got a pattern emerging, you got a familiar story, a reason for it, one explanation, critical misunderstanding. What I'm saying here is that in this one campaign, we have five ad sets, and each of these five ad sets has these different ad copies. Now, these are all these ads in this campaign is all revolving around the guaranteed offer, but it's using different copies to say it in different ways because somebody might convert based upon a familiar story that relates to somebody. Somebody might convert off of critical misunderstanding, as in, hey, the common misconception is this actually happens rather than this. These are different ways of saying this pain point in different fashions to be able to kind of just scale it up. So with that being said, in this campaign one over here, we got five ad sets. Each ad set has their own individual budget, allowing it to individually spend evenly. Boom, 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 boom. With the understanding that, yes, even if you have one campaign, five ad sets, five ads, one ad in each ad set, that ad you still need to refresh because if this ad is out there, like we were talking about before, and people kept on seeing the same exact thing over and over again, people are going to get sick of that. They're going to start increasing that spam score, sending out to a worse audience. So that tracking infrastructure that we're showing you, if you start to see that that ad individually is starting to decrease in terms of lead quality, that ad, most of the time, all five of those ads, we're going to have to refresh. We do this on a weekly basis. Again, the copy and the messaging is going to stay the same. This ad copy framework is going to stay the same. The messaging around this ad, hook, body, call to action, that body and call to action and the hook is all going to stay the same. The hook is the only thing that we're changing up in terms of just the color palettes, really, just refreshing in front of people's eyes, all staying the same though. This is like the top of funnel stuff. And like we were saying over here, pain points is really what scales. If you find that over here, this campaign one over here, let's say on campaign one, we're spending around 1K a day, whatever. 1K a day. And let's say at 1.5K a day, the ROI starts to drop. Okay, well, 1K a day is the max that this pain point in this campaign can realistically spend until the ROI starts to drop. So the way that we scale this up is that once we find out that, hey, campaign one over here, the max I can do is like $1,000 a day. Great. Now we open up campaign two. Campaign two is all about paying 12 to 14% hard money. That's the hook. That is the scalable messaging on there. Then what we do is we find that campaign two over here, maybe campaign two goes up to 2.5 per day, whereas 2.5 is the max that they can really spend until the ROAS starts to drop. Then we open up campaign three, and that's how we scale it up. We don't scale it up by individual niche because individual niches have way less audience size really to be able to scale that up and less intent. Whereas pain points has a way bigger audience size, a lot more intentfulness, and it can scale up a lot better and a lot quicker and a lot bigger as well too. So on the top of funnel, we scale up each campaign. Each campaign has its own individual pain point. Each pain point has five different ad copy frameworks talking about that specific pain point, saying it kind of just different ways. And then again, you have to make sure that you're consistent refreshing the ad because if you don't, Facebook's going to send your ads out to a worse quality audience to somebody that's actually following their rules. Kind of just makes sense. Cool. Next couple of things that we do over here is actual retargeting. So this is how we scale up our campaigns. Now, the next thing over here is gonna be the retargeting. All this stuff over here is like middle of funnel retargeting stuff. And our retargeting we do in three different ways over here. First, let's talk about direct retargeting. The entire purpose of direct retargeting is we're retargeting our competitive agency, their custom audiences, as in anybody that's qualified calls, lead quality score of 2 plus, 3 plus. We're also retargeting that in our ads because I noticed in the competitive agency, all they're doing was top of the funnel stuff. So our competitive agency, they had a cheaper cost per application and a cheaper cost per qualified call, but our ROAS was better because our ROAS was better and our cost per qualified call was higher. And just naturally, because if we're spending more money on retargeting, that means our qualified call is going to be higher, but we will have a better closing rate because they're seeing more of our content. It's easier to close those type of people. So that's kind of the name of the game. 30% of our budget was put out to retargeting over here. Okay. And then we structured the 30% like this. Whereas 20% of it would just go directly into direct retargeting, as in competitive agency, custom audiences of those who are qualified. social media engagers, people that comment, like, share our stuff, site visitors, people that visit the website. And then we make sure all this retargeting is excluding the applications that were bad. Anything 2 and below, 1.9 and below, we excluding from all of these audiences over here, the ad set. But entire purpose of direct retargeting here is that we got one campaign, one ad set. The ad set had like 200%. So like we're spending like 1,000 a day times 30%. That means $300 a day into the actual retargeting. 200 of that was really going direct retargeting, site visitors, social media engagers, and both of our leads are actually qualified going into here. And the way that we have this out is 200 bucks a day going to one ad set, forcing it to spend that 200 bucks a day between pretty much we just littered that ad set with retargeting material. We scraped through the Instagram. They had a whole bunch of graphics that were overcoming objections, case studies and testimonials, things that were talking about requirements and timelines and qualification material and what you can use the funding for and all these different things that overcome these objections. It was a series of graphics and videos that are on their Instagram. We use that all in here. This literally had probably like 20 different graphics and videos onto here. So, and the purpose of this is that the budget would be self-allocated to the graphic or video that was performing the best based upon what it kind of seemed deemed fit based upon this audience over here. That was a direct retargeting. And the entire purpose of this was to get people to back into the application to schedule out another call again. Now, this famous strategy is very, very similar to like what Jeremy Haynes has in terms of his hammer strategy. And in terms of his hammer strategy, the real difference is that I like calling it a famous strategy. I feel like that's kind of what it does. But his hammer strategy is he uses it mostly for like schedule over here. I'm about to talk about this in a second. We are separated is on a famous strategy over here is this is custom audiences between the competitive agency and our custom audiences, but we're not including site visitors and we're not including social media engagers. This is only for those that are actually qualified, focusing just on that audience size over there from the competitive agency and ours as well too. An entire purpose of this is shooting out a series of videos and case studies, no graphics in here, that are overcoming objections. And we also have the closers also record videos as well too in here, just providing value and answering common questions that people have, pushing them to retarget and schedule out a call with these people. Okay, so the difference between direct retargeting and this famous strategy is direct retargeting is also encompassing social media engagers and site visitors plus the custom audiences. And a famous strategy is just the custom audiences of those that are really qualified. Push them into scheduling a call. Now, the last one, the schedule strategy, is now a little bit more towards like Jeremy Haynes' famous strategy or Lance Greenberg's up strategy, in which case, from the moment they schedule out a call, this is only qualified calls here. From the moment they schedule a call until the time they actually show up to the call, let's say it's like a 24, 48, maybe 72-hour period. Let's say 3 days as an example over here. During those 3 days, we had like 30 videos. And those 30 videos, yes, also are some of the closers videos, but it's also the CEO's videos. And it's all just showing out testimonials, like where the CEO would talk to one of the customers and be like, yo, what do you use this funding for? How much did you get funding? How easy was the process? And also the closers are answering a couple common questions as well too. But the entire purpose of this is so that there's like no call to action on this ad. On the schedule campaign over here is retargeting schedule campaign. The entire purpose of this was to get people to watch the ad, watch the content. And the way that the campaign is structured out is you got a campaign and each ad had its own ad set. So each ad set had like $5 a day going at it. Boom, 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 boom. Target specifically only those that qualify. Excuse only targeting on the ad set qualified calls. Each ad set has its own ad. In which case, qualified call, excluding the actual ad itself, the actual 50% viewership of the actual ad. And what that does is that it hits the qualified people that scheduled a call and excludes them if they watch at least 50% of the video. That forces them to not watch the same video multiple different times. And it also excludes them after the call as well too. Is after the call, either good or bad fit or cash collected audiences and excludes that. But each ad set gets its own add-on here is what I'm trying to say. Kind of a little bit different than direct retargeting. But entire purpose of this is that it doesn't even have a call to action button. Entire purpose of this is to get them to watch the video because as soon as they see a call to action button, they're like, yo, that's promo over there. I might skip through it, you know? So entire purpose of this is to get them to watch this video and ensure more of a layup on the actual call when they show up because they watch this video that doesn't look like an ad. There's no call to action button on it. And because they watch this video, it maybe answers some questions, overcomes some objections, and just ensures an easier close because they already saw that closer prior to the actual call. So again, let's just go over the main differences between direct retargeting, famous, and schedule strategy over here. Direct retargeting is social media engagers and the custom audiences between both ad accounts, push them to schedule a call. It has a call to action button, and that is just really just one ad set with a whole bunch of graphics and videos that we find on the Instagram, and litter it up with a whole bunch of retargeting graphics and videos, push them to schedule a call. This famous strategy over here is none of the site visitors, none of the social media engagers, it's only the custom audiences between the two ad accounts. And then as well too, it staggers out the videos as well too, kind of like the schedule strategy. So it has its own ad set and its own ad set, ad set, ad. And that ad set excludes the actual video, making sure they don't watch the same video multiple different times. This does not include graphics, and it still has a call to action to schedule a call. And the real difference between famous and schedule is that the schedule has a little bit more specific videos, but it doesn't have that call to action to schedule a call. Its entire purpose of this is to get them to actually watch this freaking video. And then again, guys, to recap the top of funnel over here, most important parts over here is that we scale based upon pain points. Each campaign has a series of ad sets. Each ad set ensures that it has individual ad budget distribution on the daily. So each ad gets its own daily spend evenly. So we're making sure each ad copy over here and each video gets its own spend. And then the way that it works is that about a week and a half, once you start to see that the ad starts to kind of fatigue, all we're doing is just duplicating that ad, replacing the hook, refreshing the hook. And that's really just about it. And literally turning off the campaign and literally turning off the ad that's already producing results. It sounds kind of crazy because like, yo, Blade, are you really gonna turn off an ad that's making you money? Yeah, because if you start to see that that ad is getting worse results, lead quality is going down, the CAC is getting too high for it to be profitable, that ad is not making you money anymore. You need to refresh that ad nowadays. Even if the ad's making you money, you need to duplicate that ad, redo the hook, keep the same messaging, but just change out the color palette or change out the shirt that you're wearing or use a different avatar that's recording the ad. You know, if it's again, if it's like a graphic, this is all you're doing. You're just changing it's the same copy, but same messaging in the ad, just changing out the color palette. But you need to do that because again, Facebook does not want a set and forget it campaign. If you start to see that, it's gonna send your ads out to a lower quality audience because it wants to save, it wants to save the higher quality audience for those that are not what we call like spamming or has a high spam score. You're constantly facing against this AI and making sure this AI is putting in these highest quality audiences so your sales team has the best chances of closing deals. So that is why you do need to frequently refresh these campaigns, kind of like maintaining these campaigns. Boom. That is our campaign structuring. We also talked about all the systems and the funnels, sales kicks that does the soft pull, weekly meeting recaps with the sales teams and trainings, and also the marketing team. That feedback loop, how important it was. We were talking about the type of ad that really do work in this campaign, how we're going to structure out this campaign. All that stuff is very, very important. Builds out this ecosystem that overall just builds out predictable sales over here, guys. And honestly, I think the main reasons why this company just dropped my company compared to theirs is because honestly, they were already working with this company prior to me. They had a majority to spend. They were working on a couple in-house things. They wanted to transition this agency more in-house. And because they had majority to spend, it was just an easier transition, despite the fact that they had less of a ROAS than us. Like they had a 2x ROAS, we were doing a 3x ROAS. And yes, honestly, if I was the business owner, obviously, yes, I would have used my company, obviously. But another thing, if I was the business owner too, another thing that I think that he could have done better is not getting distracted with this lower ticket credit repair product, but more so focus on how to make what's currently working right now better. As in, like for this top of the funnel, I literally to refresh these ads, I literally sometimes had to record these hooks myself. I had to make AI hooks. Whereas his time probably could have been spent better not implementing this credit per offer, but by creating more content to multiply what's already working right now. It goes back to this conversation I was talking about before is like, yo, where's your time best spent? Is it a whole new learning curve with this whole new credit per offer? We had to build out all the infrastructure and systems for that. Or does it make sense to work on what's already doing good and finding out ways to multiply that already? Because we have students that are doing $1 million a month on just one VSL. That's completely possible, but it's more so a focus thing. Focusing on, hey, maybe that business owner should make better content so that we can maintain these campaigns more properly, open up more top of the funnel campaigns with different pain points, and really scale up that way. And when we first started working out this company, a lot of his ads, they all look the same. And because of that lack of creative diversity, that in itself allowed us to do better than the competitor agency and have a better cost to acquire client. That and also the retargeting as well too. The other competitive agency wasn't doing anything in terms of retargeting. It's all just cold ads. Just by itself, by adding some retargeting, significantly allowed us to outperform the other agency. And also the fact of the matter that we were probably doing 10x the amount of work in terms of just looking back at previous sales call transcriptions, looking back at those EOD reports, making sure that those EOD reports, if we saw a common objection, that stuff was plugged back into the copy in terms of retargeting stuff. That is what really separated us. All right. And then long story short, guys, if you need help with any of this stuff in terms of build out the systems, we do have these three different offers. We do got our mastermind and go high level management offer. That's public consulting. We have a private consultant where I jump in your team or I fly out to your team and I train your in-house media buyer, your team on how to really get profitable, or we do it on live, on Zoom calls, whatever. Or in the third offer that we have is our actual agency. But we do have a hard filter with our actual agency, because if you're not open-minded enough to be able to be willing to pay an agency in scale, at least 100K a month, my agency, it's not going to work out, because the more money you make the more you want to get paid. We don't want to work with somebody that will just stay at a monthly fee while you guys are making millions of dollars. We're going to work with only people that we can actually scale up as well too. So it's going to be like a mutual beneficial thing, because we only have so much roster spots and we want to ensure quality among all of our members over here. So if that is you guys, if you are that type of funding business that does see you guys, paying an agency the amount of money that in scale makes sense for you guys, whereas the more money you make the more you get paid, boom, rock with the agency, hop on a call with me. If it makes sense for our mastermind, public consulting, boom, hop in that. We need private consulting, we offer that as well too, guys. This entire video over here was really just to educate, to show what's working, what's not, how to make your ads actually convert and produce consistent income for you. I want to thank you guys for watching. Again, if you have any questions, guys, it's only in my best interest, so don't hesitate. Blow up that comment section, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.